What's going on, guys? Today I have two bows in front of me. I have my Mathews VXR 28 as well as my Mathews V3X 29. I wanted to take some time today and talk about both these rigs, what I like and don't like about both of them, and about which one I plan on taking with me on all my hunting trips this year. That includes going out west to Utah, going up north to Maine, and then hunting whitetails in my home state of New Jersey. So the Mathews VXR 28, for anyone who's followed this channel for a little while, they might already know, this is the first Mathews bow that I was ever introduced to. I got it, I believe, in the season of 2020 when they first came out, because I had always shot Bowtech for the longest time. I had an issue with the bow the first week of season, and if I didn't get a new bow that week, I'd be out for the rest of the year. So I shipped that bow back in to Bowtech to get it fixed up, and I walked out with this one just so I could continue my season, and I'm really happy I did. This bow ended up being my go-to rig for 2 seasons. I took this bow on my first ever out-of-state hunts out in Colorado and Wyoming that year, or last year, the year after I got it. And it proved to be by far the best shooting bow I ever had, the most tunable. Just overall, I loved everything about it, never had a bad thing to say about it. I am a gear nerd. I love getting new stuff. It's something that I really enjoy, and that is why this year, even though there was nothing wrong with my VXR, it was still shooting great, lights out, no issues, I decided to upgrade to the V3X. Now, before this video goes any farther, I will start with this. I have decided to bring my V3X on all of my hunts this year. Besides it just being the new bow that I have, and I want to kind of focus on utilizing this rig right now. That bow has kind of already had its time. I still think it would be kind of cool to talk about both bows side by side, what I like about the V3X over the VXR and vice versa, if there is anything, and why I've made the decision to go out west with this bow this year. So I will say off the bat, both of these bows are very similar. They shoot very, very similar. They both shoot great. They're both extremely dead in the hand, extremely quiet, very easy to tune. Draw cycle, to me at least, is very, very similar. And I really have no complaints with either of them. To me, there's really only 2 big differences that I see in both of these bows. First is going to be the axle to axle. Even though it's only an inch, the VXR at 28 inches and the V3X at 29, I actually did notice a pretty big difference when I went from shooting the VXR to the V3X at first. Now I'm able to shoot both of these bows interchangeably, but when I first switched over, I definitely noticed a difference, and I wasn't the biggest fan of the 29 overall. I think that was just because I got so comfortable with the 28. After a few months of shooting this bow, I can comfortably say the 29-inch axle to axle definitely fits me better. I think just long range, I feel like there's a little bit more stability there. I think it just feels better in my hand. I'm a little over 5'8" height, so I'm not sure if that means anything to anyone watching this, but draw length of 28 inches. But the 29-inch axle to axle definitely seems to be an awesome sweet spot for me, all things concerned. So the 28 definitely does have a purpose. That bow, it's so small, it's so compact. It's awesome for tight spots in a tree stand or a ground blind. I actually was hunting turkeys with this bow unsuccessfully, but hunting turkeys with this bow this year out of a ground blind, and I noticed that extra inch on the axle to axle. I definitely had to compensate for it compared to the VXR that I've been used to shooting over the last couple of years out of blinds. But overall, especially for long distance shooting, I've never shot a bow better at distance than I have with this one. I would definitely say the 29-inch axle to axle is a plus in favor of the V3X. Second thing I want to talk about that I think is a big difference between the two bows is the bridge lock technology that can be seen right here, where the sight with a dovetail can go right through the riser of this bow right here. Maybe if I take this off, it might be a little easier to see. But where that dovetail goes right through the riser. Now, I never had an issue. I mean, I've shot bows my entire life. I never had an issue with sights that just bracketed onto the side like this one. Very standard, tried and true, and never had a problem with it. But I will say this. Going to Colorado last year for my first ever elk hunt, opened my eyes a lot in terms of how I like to set up my bows. Anything that can get bumped, anything that can get moved or torn up, has a pretty good chance of doing so when you're out in the backcountry. And I noticed with my own gear, nothing happened in my sight, but I had my peep get moved. I had my nose button get moved, getting caught on branches and stuff like that. And when I saw that Mathews came out with this break lock technology, I really liked the idea of having the sight more in line with the riser, being inside it like that. I don't really notice any advantages to sighting it in and being more true, like some people have said. But I look at it as though it's a much more foolproof way to make sure that when you bolt that sight in, it's not going to move. It's going to stay there. It's not going to get bumped. It's way more secure, in my opinion, than relying on the bracket that goes on the side. Those are really my two big differences between the two bows, and both of them lean in favor of the V3X. That is why I plan on taking it with me on all my hunts this year. However, right now I have the VXR set up for a Total Archery Challenge. I'm shooting all of the courses this year. I just got back from Tennessee, and I'm going to Pennsylvania in about 2 weeks. I'm shooting all the courses with my V3X. I like shooting those courses with the exact same setup I will be hunting with, even though it's a bit of a slower setup. But I am setting this bow up for the truck shoot. I'm going to be setting it up with some super light arrows for long distance. That way I can leave this bow as it is, and I can kind of dedicate this bow to that specific challenge. But when I get back from that last Total Archery Challenge event, I will be setting this bow up. I'll be tuning it to the same arrows that I'll be hunting with this year out of the V3X. And this bow is going to come with me to Colorado. This bow is going to be coming with me to Utah and also to Maine when I go up north on a bear hunt in September as a backup bow. Again, being in Colorado last year, I saw how much can get moved and bumped on a bow. And I was lucky that nothing happened to this bow last year when I was out there, but God forbid something did happen on second day of a hunt. I like the idea about having a backup just to ensure that the hunt can continue and I can continue on with that trip. So that's the plan for the VXR. Right now it's going to be dedicated to shooting for the Total Archery Challenge truck in Pennsylvania, and then it's going to be a dedicated backup bow. And the main bow that I'll be running will be the V3X 29. I can confidently say this is the most forgiving bow that I've ever shot. I would say it's probably the quietest bow I've ever shot. It's the most dead in the hand, even compared to the VXR. It's very, very slight. Like I said, they're very similar bows, but I will say that this bow, just everything about it was just spot on. I really, really love this rig. So the setup that I'm running, I have a 4-arrow Mathews quiver. This is not the I don't even know the name of it, but the new quiver that came out with the V3X bows. This is not that. This is just a regular 4-arrow quiver from Mathews. Got a Spot Hog Fast Eddy XL double pin as my sight. I got the stabilizers from CBE custom something, I forget. CBE, whatever. The hunting stabilizer kit. Really like these. They are a good bit cheaper than a lot of other stabilizers I found out there, but for me at least they work great. I don't have too much experience with different stabilizers, but these have been great for me. These stabilizers followed me from my Bowtech SR6 to my VXR to now the V3X. Same exact stabilizers, and they're a little bit cut up, but they're still working fine, so I don't plan on changing them anytime soon. I got the limb legs down here, and for strings, I'm running Flow Green gas strings, high octane gas strings. Gas has really been an awesome company that I've used ever since my Bowtech days. I've never had an issue with any of their strings, and they've always performed awesome. So definitely a big fan of Gas. Running a Hamsky Raptor peep, which really you can run any peep, but I'm not sure why, but this peep has always served me well. I really like, I guess like the look of it, first of all, and then it really always gives me a very, very clear line of sight. I never have any issues with it rotating, and I like the fact that it's a little bit longer. So I don't know, but for me, I feel as though that's going to block out some of the sun glare that I've had happen with other peeps. So really like that peep. And yeah, that is the setup, the bow setup at least, for the 2022 season. Also, before I even forget, running, you can see this green tape on here, This is the Bowmar Archery grip tape as well as the Bowmar Archery nose button up here. Big fan of those products. Both of those products solve issues that I didn't even know I had until I tried them out. So, big fan of them. And then for my arrow and my broadhead combination. This broadhead is a little beat up, but I'm going to be running a 27, I believe, just a hair under 27 inches carbon to carbon, Easton Axis and a 260 spine. On the back end, I got a lighted knock from Nocturnal Lighted Knocks, running a 4-fletch AAE Max Stealth Vane. Inside the shaft here, I have a 50 grain brass insert, a 25 grain iron will collar on the outside, and then I'm not sure if you can see that, I'm not sure if it'll focus, but on the end there's a 125 grain iron will single bevel. This setup comes out to, it's beefy, it comes out to just about 570 to 575 grains. That's very, very heavy, and I know a lot of people don't like shooting heavy arrows like that, but what I will say is out of this bow, I don't know if I mentioned this already or not, but this bow is set to 75 pounds last time I checked, at a 28-inch draw, and I'm shooting these arrows just about 260, if I had to guess, somewhere in that 255 to 265 range. I think it's right at 260, and a lot of people might think that's way too slow, but for me personally, I really like that speed range. I think it keeps my bow super quiet. I think it makes it super dead in the hand, and on top of it all, for me at least, it's made them extremely tunable. So a little bit of a slower FPS on that arrow. I've been able to get my broadheads to tune so perfectly out to 100 yards and just grouping them right on top of field points, and that's really what I care about. I like having a heavy arrow. I like having an arrow that's going to have a ton of momentum, and it's going to be able to, no matter where I hit on that animal, I always want to put it, double long behind the shoulder, not hit anything hard like a shoulder. But as bow hunters, we know that's not always going to happen. So being able to just have confidence in your setup with a single bevel head, heavy arrow, high poundage, being able to put it anywhere on that animal and know that you're going to get a pass through, you're going to be able to find that arrow on the other side, really no matter how far the shot is, within reason. That's really what I shoot for. I'm able to shoot this bow with this setup super well, and I know the trajectory very well as well, so I'm able to go to Total Archery Challenge and shoot some of the harder courses with this slower setup and not have any issues and not miss any targets. And yeah, so this is my setup for the 2022 hunting season. I forget what I did and didn't say already, but this exact setup with the VXR in tow, its backup, will be following me to Utah to chase elk. It'll be following me to Maine to hunt black bear in September, and then it's going to be with me all season hunting whitetails in New Jersey. I think this is a very versatile setup. I will also say, with the possible issues with trajectory, you definitely need to be very, very confident in your shooting and where to aim on an animal to account for any time they duck. I feel as though I am. I've never shot a bow or arrow setup as well as this one, and I'm extremely confident taking it out into the field under really any hunting situation. So, guys, that is it. Overview of the VXR and the V3X, and why I believe this V3X 29 is by far the best bow I have ever shot. I think that right now it's the best bow on the market, and maybe I'll shoot a bow one day that'll change my mind, but with everything that I've shot so far, the V3X reigns supreme. It is an absolutely incredible machine, and I'm very, very blessed to be able to have this bow in my possession and be bringing it with me on all my trips this year. To end this video off, I want to say, if anyone in the comments that's watched this video has any ideas of videos they'd like to see in the future, please let me know down in the comments. I know it's been a while since I've posted anything. That has not been by design. It's been quite simply, I'm not too sure what to post. I'm new to this whole YouTube thing, and I'm very open to any suggestions. So, thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, please like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Thank you.